Good morning, Facebook land. It's Bree Stedman here today, and I'm going out on a bit of a whim, so who knows what I could come up with today. But I'm feeling inspired because I've been on the phone this morning and I've had a number of conversations today with women who are experiencing varying degrees of emotional blocks that then create these images or these life experiences that are holding back and creating drama. Good morning, Rachel and Fran. Thank you for joining me. And Kel's online as well. Good morning. So I wanted to start off with an example, okay, because it's something that I'm truly, truly passionate about is helping women to firstly recognize the connection between their thoughts and their emotions, and then secondly, how their emotions actually show up in their brain. Hey, Colin and my dad. Hello. So there's a very strong connection between thought, emotion, and then how they show up and how the brain processes the connection of all three. And the key, the empowering moment that lies for all of us is that when we understand how to work with this connection, we can then control anything, regardless of whether it's limiting or serving. Now, an example of this to demonstrate my point is how often, or have you ever, or maybe you're a mum or a dad who has had children where you have been woken up in the middle of the night because of a nightmare. Now, a nightmare, when we look at it for what it is a made-up scenario or story that happens in the unconscious part of the mind that for a brief moment of time shows up in the conscious that then causes a physical response. Maz, you're online. Jump off. And hi, Kane. So, a nightmare is an example of an unconscious story that surfaces briefly in the conscious mind that creates an reaction or a response in the body that then wakes the person, namely you or a child, up in terror or fear or scared or whatever it might be. Sometimes it's sad, sometimes it's that sensation of feeling lonely. Now, this is something that we've all experienced. And because it's something that happens of a nighttime and we kind of just expect that it's normal to have nightmares, we don't look too far into it. We just allow it to come and go. Take some deep breaths, go and get a glass of water, go back to bed and realize that you are in fact safe. If you've got a child, you might give them a hug and reassure them. The same thing happens with your day-to-day thoughts. It just happens in a slightly different manner. What I mean by that is every story that you are telling yourself is creating an image in your mind that then is allowing your body to respond in a particular way. So let's say, for example, you suffer from something such as anxiety. You have a storyline that is creating this feeling of anxious. Now, while that storyline is building, your brain is actually creating an image that represents that whole feeling of anxiety. And because many of us don't know how to work with the images in our head, we get caught up in the one thing that we feel we can control, and that is the story. And so we buy into trying to understand where the anxiety is coming from, what's causing the anxiety, who can we blame, what situation can we point our finger at as to why the anxiety is dominating our life. What would happen though if we actually looked at what the brain is seeing, knowing that the brain is fueling the body's response? If we were able to start working with the image that the brain sees, we recognize that we actually have a hell of a lot more control over the way our body shows up than what we've previously perceived we have. And this is something that we've got a lot of experience with in regards to women being able to release anxiety and depression and things that are traditionally told are uncurable, purely by working with the way our brains are actually designed and the way the brains are actually processing things. Now, let me give you a super brief example of this. If you were to think about a particular emotion that you are struggling with right now, whether it is anxiety or depression or anger or feeling scared or fearful or overwhelmed, maybe it's just sabotaging. There is an emotion within you right now that you can tap into very, very easily. Now, if you give yourself the moment to actually come into that space and recognize where that emotion is showing up in your body. So the first step is, what am I feeling? Where is it living in my body? Where does it show up? If it's anxiety, it might be showing up in the chest, in that you're taking shallow breaths, and so you feel like you're out of breath. You feel like you can't take a deep breath. If it's something like anger, it could be coming up in your shoulders or your neck area, because that's, the power punch space. Where is it living? And if you then allow yourself to see how that emotion looks. Now, the simplest way to do this is by asking yourself, what color is this emotion? Now, this demonstration is super simple, all right? It goes a hell of a lot deeper than this, but just for the sake of Facebook Live, I'm giving you a very, very brief overview of what your emotions look like, okay? So you've named your emotion, you are feeling X. It lives in this part of your body. So you've now connected the physiology to your emotion, to your physical self. You know that it lives in one particular place. And now we bring the mind into it by creating an image. What color is that emotion? Now, simply by identifying those three things, you're bringing in a little bit of coherence between the feeling, the body, and the mind. Now, one quick way to alleviate or to refocus the emotion is, let's say, for example, I don't know why I'm picking on anxiety, but we'll keep using anxiety. If you're currently feeling anxious, what would you like to be feeling? Ask yourself the question and allow the brain to answer, which is going to open up this space of, there is a different opportunity here. If you're feeling angry, what would you like to be feeling? If you're feeling sad, what would you like to be feeling? So Belle, thank you for responding, darling. Belle's just written, we're all feeling anxiety. Okay. Belle, what would you like to be feeling instead of anxiety? And I do agree, there's a lot of people that suffer from anxiety, but I can also promise you that there's a lot that don't. And if you do suffer from anxiety, it's something that we can shift really, really simply and really quickly and easily. Okay, so Belle, suffering anxiety, she wants to feel freedom. Belle, when you think about freedom, where does freedom live in your body? Thanks for playing with me, by the way. I didn't even ask if you'd be happy to. Okay, freedom lives in the heart. And when you feel freedom, when you see freedom, what color is it? Thanks, Belle. I love you too. What color is freedom? Blue. Is it a soft blue or is it a dark blue? So for those of you who are watching right now, you can follow along. You'll notice what I'm doing is creating a characteristic that the mind can see that represents this feeling of freedom. It's a soft blue. Okay. Now, Belle, what would happen if where freedom lives in the heart and it's this soft blue, you were able to close your eyes, feel into freedom, feel into that soft blue, the ease and everything that comes with it, and then expand it so that it covers the entire body and pushes where anxiety currently lives, pushes it out and replaces it with the soft blue of freedom. What would happen if you did that? For those of you who have just joined, I'm working through an example of how we can shift the perception of a negative emotion into something that we choose to feel. So, Belle was feeling anxiety. She wanted to feel freedom. Freedom lives in the heart. It is soft blue. And now that she's done that, she feels lighter, unstoppable, and calm. And Belle, when you think about anxiety, how does it now feel? Are you drawn to feeling anxiety, or are you more drawn to harnessing the freedom that you feel? She's just said she's crying because this is working, which is awesome, because this is how simple it truly can be. It's gone. All right. Thank you so much for playing, Belle. That was awesome. You did great. This is the example of the power of the mind. Now, there are some things you firstly need to recognize. You firstly need to recognize that if you are getting caught up in a story, the story is fueling whatever emotional charge lies beneath it. So in order to release it, we need to identify what is the emotional charge. Name whatever it is that you're feeling and know that there is no right or wrong. Whatever you are feeling is your emotion, and that is it. It doesn't have to fit into a box that makes sense to anybody else, particularly if you are women, because you have a large limbic system, which means your brain is going to have a whole big vocabulary way of explaining how you feel. So name what it is that you are feeling, and then give it a characteristic. Identify that once you feel it, your mind also plays a part, because your mind sees every emotion that we feel in the form of a picture. Now, I've used only one characteristic of the mind picture, but through, recognizing this connection and then changing the mind's focus and creating a different characteristic for an emotion that you want to feel, you are able to reduce the intensity of the problem emotion. Now, this is not a long-term solution, but it is a strategy that you can use in any given moment to help you give back the one thing that you feel you lose when you get caught up in emotion and story, and that is control. So this is a brief overview, okay? If you are seeing that the simplicity of connecting thought, emotion, and mind is something that is super powerful and super easy to do. You've just watched me do it in less than 11 minutes via Facebook without even speaking to the person, without identifying why she feels anxiety in the first place. If you want to know more about how you can give yourself this gift, then please get in touch, because this is my passion. This essentially is the core of Own Your BS. Now, my book gives you the introductions into how to do it. My program goes into everything that I've just done with Belle and a whole heap more, with the bottom line focus of giving you the strategies so that at any given moment you can take back control. And secondly to that, giving you the confidence to teach the people in your world how to do the same thing. My passion, my big picture vision, is to see mums and women of influence, which, let's face it, every single woman on the planet is a woman of influence. And I know there are men watching, and men, I love you too, but you're not someone who I want to work with, sorry. I love to work with women because I am a woman. I appreciate what women go through. I understand hormone cycles, and as best as you might be educated in hormones, guys, you're never going to understand it from a woman's point of view. So I love to work with women. And I love to work with women who recognize that they are a woman of influence and they want to better themselves so that they can better the world around them through cutting through the shit, like storytelling, and going straight to solution. Helping. I mean, how amazing would it be if you have a toolbox where when someone comes to you, whether it's a child or a girlfriend, and she's really caught up in an emotional problem that is tying her down, you can immediately go to your toolbox and say, okay, sweetheart, let's shift this around so that we can change your focus. Let's shift it around so that we can bring you back a sense of peace and control so that you can start to create the life that you deserve to live. We can all do that. Belle, you are so very welcome. I'm glad that you feel you can be a better mum. You are doing a great job. You're already an awesome mum. It's just about being the next best version of you every single day. So if you are interested in knowing more about how I can teach you these strategies to get back control from negative, emotional, destructive and sabotaging head talk, then I'm going to include the link to my calendar in this feed in the description, because I'd love to have conversations with any of you who are interested. I will also include the link to my book and to my 9-week program, because you have choice. If there are things going on in your life right now that aren't serving you, you don't need to hang on to them for any longer than you choose to hang on to them. And if I can give you just a small taste of how I can help you, then, and most importantly, it actually helps you, then, my life is just complete. It lights me up to see that, for someone like Belle, who we've been able to move from anxiety to feel like she can be a great mum and she's free, is just awesome. And you know what? We've all got the potential to do it. So thank you everyone for joining. This has been a really interactive and unexpected Facebook Live. I did not expect to cover this, but this is the message that's obviously clear and needed today. If you are struggling and you need help, please feel free to reach out. Whether it's just an obligation phone call, if you are ready and you are committed to you, I can't help you, you have to help you. And that's really the truth. No one can help you, in fact. It all comes back to you. So in order for you to truly move from where you are to where you want to be, you have to commit to you. And the moment that you do that and seek help to the people that actually resonate with you and where you're at, that is when your new options and possibilities open up. So I'm just one option that might work for you. Have a fantastic day, everybody, and I will talk to you all very, very soon. Love to everyone. I just lost my voice. See you, girls.